Seekers. I am doing my final pass on this 3 to 4 year project I've been working on called The Adventures of Chatterer the Red Squirrel. Lot of really good life lessons in this story. That's why I chose it. I looked at a bunch of different public domain books, children's books, because I wanted to do an audiobook and produce it on my own. And I did get permission. I basically, pardon me, ran it through some research and found out I could use this at no charge and so on. And I am, well, basically, I've been working on doing this narration, pure voiceover over the course of, well, it's been years. I haven't been working on it constantly because it's not a proven moneymaker of any sort. No, pardon me. And also, basically, I wanted to do this recording just so you could hear me clear my throat. That's the main reason. Anyway, okay. I just had breakfast. Breakfast. That's the way he speaks. And so let me show you a little bit of working on it. I'm actually going through the script to make sure that I can do this. And yeah, it's works out really well. Where I'm actually, let me explain something else. Hold on a second. Yes, that would work well. Smiley. So let's cancel the one on Monday, period. Beautiful. So, all right. So basically, the reason I'm going through the script is because to be on Audible, which is the main audiobook distribution channel in the world, as I understand it, it's probably far and above, as far as potential sales, any other platform. Spotify is now competition, so that could be interesting to. Boy, that'd be great if this thing did well on Spotify. But there is a niche. There's a for children's books, as I understand it, and don't know what this will do. But I have a passion. It's not all about the money. It's about spreading this message and then using my talents the way both my voiceover talents and my music. My music is on here too, and I'll show you that. Shadow dot. Let's get into it. Here's a little bit of editing here. I was about to make an edit, and I thought this would be a good time to show sort of what I'm doing with the final file. So, Shadow dodged. Shadow the Weasel. So, Chatterer the Red Squirrel, our hero, is trying to escape Shadow the Weasel, and he's now pulled. There's this. He's one of the few predators in the green forest or the smiling pool or the old what is it, the old stone wall, and there's all sorts of beautiful descriptive names that that Burgess, the author, where he describes things. Anyway, so he's trying to get away from Shadow the Weasel. He's just feeling he's about dead because Shadow can get everywhere he can. He's the only predator that can really get him and that really wants to get him, trying to get after him. And he has this idea where there's Redtail the Hawk, who's also one of his predators, but that Redtail the Hawk would just like a Shadow the Weasel just as well as while he's sleeping, Chatterer had just gone up and pulled one of his feathers and obviously woke him up. And then Chatterer had gone up the tree very quickly with Shadow the Weasel following him. And with the Shadow the Weasel, most of his attention's on Chatterer. And so there's no, he's not seeing Redtail the Hawk. And so Shadow goes and pulls the tail of Redtail the Hawk and then scoots away fast. And then Redtail the Hawk sees Shadow the Weasel, and Shadow the Weasel is not a match for Redtail. So now Shadow the Weasel is now the hunted. Very interesting. Really, it's a great book. It's a great because it also goes through and shows how Chatterer has been a bad boy, has been has not acted ethically, although he's basically a good, very good guy, very good being. He's been a troublemaker and caused a lot of people a lot of trouble, and he hadn't really thought it through. And this gets him to rethink his life. It's very interesting. It's a great book.
Shadow dodged around the trunk of the...
Okay, now that I'm hearing it, it's not that critical, but I have this little plug-in that setting where it takes away the harshness.
Shadow dodged around the trunk of the tree. Oh, he was more angry than frightened.
Let me see.
With great cruel claws spread to clutch him. Shadow dodged around the trunk of the tree. Oh, he was more angry than frightened, for his sharp eyes had spied a little hollow in a branch of the chestnut tree.
We could
Hollow in a branch.
Could take away some of that space.
Little hollow in a branch of the chestnut tree. And he knew that once inside of that, he would have nothing to fear.
Now I could
Inside of that, he would have...
it begs for a little pause. So what I'm going to do is stretch this. When I use that stretch tool, unfortunately, it creates a gap, so I get rid of that. But this should be a little longer now, I think.
Knew that once inside of that, he would have nothing to fear.
A little better.
But he was...
Now this could also use a little... These are not critical. These are not critical things. There have been more critical things I've been working on. Yeah, this is going to be a nice little more breathing here. Breathing room.
He would have nothing to fear. But he was angry.
But I don't want it to say nothing to fear, but... So that's one reason I'm doing this. Let's try it again. And that created less of a gap that time. Sometimes it varies.
Once inside of that, he would have nothing to fear. But
Better.
He was angry clear through to think that he should be cheated out.
That could be a little less. Now, also, I'm supposed to go over the script, and because sometimes why am I going over the script? So I forgot to finish mentioning that Audible is the most important one, but it's also it's owned by Amazon, right? Okay, but they have a rule that if you have an audiobook, it has to have accompanying text published. In other words, you have to publish the book, the version that corresponds to the voiceover, So the thing is, I changed some things. Between you and me, there's a character called Black Pussy, who Farmer Brown's boy, looks like he might feed Chatterer when he catches him in a trap. And then we think Farmer Brown's boy is really bad and really a troublemaker, like a real bad guy. And it turns out he's actually very good. And then explains why he sometimes seems like a mean guy to the animals. And it has to do with them running away from him because thinking, it's fascinating. There's so many good lessons in this. But anyway, Farmer Brown's boy has a cat, and the cat is named Black Pussy. Now, this was in 1915, so they didn't have Black Pussy in those days. No, but you get the idea. And I went over it with my dad, and he said, yeah, you should probably change that. And we laughed, It's like, yeah, I was going to leave it. So I had to go through and change the voice and do copy and pasting. Luckily, it was before I put it with the music. I changed that. There was also another character called Tommy Tit the Chickadee, and I changed that to Charlie the Chickadee. I was going to call him Tommy the Chickadee, actually, and then I was going to go Tommy the Tomcat. And first I was going to live with that, both characters named Tommy. and then I started editing, and it didn't work because they were too close together, and it just the little kids could get confused. So I changed all that. Took some time changing all the Tommy Tits to Charlie, and all the black pussies to Tommy the Tomcat. So anyway, so I'm going through the script as I'm editing this and making sure that the script, and some of the words are not quite the same, or I missed something, and sometimes I'm going back and actually adding and then having to find the right piece of music to then copy and paste. I have I have all just the pure music here. And it's one of my tracks called Glacier Sunrise. And it's just repeated over and over again for 2 hours and 45 minutes in this particular file. Wow. It's a nice little track, if I say so myself. Did well when I released it, and now I'm using it for all the whole Chatterer thing. And it works. And I'm picky. And even though it's my music, just because it's my music, if it didn't work, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't use it. I think I'm about to sneeze. Maybe I can turn the mic down if I do that. So anyway, let's do a little more, and then I'll shut this down because this is getting to be a bit of a long video. But
Shadow the Weasel stopped short. Then, like a flash, he dodged around to the other side of the tree. Oh, he had no thought of Chatterer now. Things were changed, all in an instant. Oh, quite changed. Well, instead of the hunter, Shadow was now the hunted. Old Redtail circled in the air just overhead, and every time he caught sight of Shadow, he swooped at him with great cruel claws, spread to clutch him. Shadow dodged around the trunk of the tree.
That, but I'm not.
Oh, he was more angry than frightened, for his sharp eyes had spied a little hollow in a branch of the chestnut tree.
That seemed a little too stilted. Part of the reason, by the way, the narration sounds a bit stilted, like a little bit, is because to get that accent right, which is not perfect all the way through, but considering I'm not a Brit, I went through and did each of lines and even words many times till I thought it sounded right. So it's so I didn't read it smoothly originally. Every few words, it's a different take.
Oh, he was more.
So sometimes it sounds very stilted, and I can sort of fix it by fixing up the gaps.
Was more angry than frightened, for his sharp eyes had spied.
There we go.
Eyes had spied a.
So if you get too close, it sounds like you're editing. You don't want to do that.
For his sharp eyes had spied a. Had.
I don't know if this is. Yeah.
For his sharp eyes had spied a little hollow.
Let me try. I don't want it to sound unnatural if I can avoid it. I have to say, considering when you actually hear finished professional produced things, you find problems too. So I'm not going to feel too bad if I don't get this thing there are times perfect. There are times like for again instead of again, or a bean, I said Ben, and there's sometimes I change those, but other times I just didn't want to go through and just, let's just, if I don't think that's going to hurt sales too much if everything else is good.
For his sharp eyes had spied a little.
That's fine. It's not perfect. I mean, I could add a little more space.
Sharp eyes had spied a.
It seems I'm really getting picky because most people probably wouldn't.
Sharp eyes had spied.
That actually made a difference. That tiny bit of space I added. What I did is I ended up copying. I'll undo it just to show you. And then I do a copy thing, and then I go like this, and then paste, and you see how it goes to the right a little bit? In fact, let's see how it sounds.
Eyes had spied.
No, I don't need that much, so I'm going to undo that. But I just a sliver of space, and I just feel the difference.
Eyes had spied a little hollow in a branch.
There's definitely a big
a little.
Even this one a little bit.
For his sharp eyes had spied a little hollow
Better.
in a branch
Better.
of the chestnut tree.
That is so much better. I'm even going to save that file. And I like to make the Windows sound. That's just a weird thing I like to do. So, yeah. Here we go. Yeah, okay. So thank you for watching. I think that's probably enough. You get the idea of what I'm doing. Here's to Chatterer. I hope to release it my goal would be to release it, to have it actually up on Audible by July 4th of 2025. And believe it or not, I was wanting to finish this whole thing by July 4th of 2023. Yeah, but better late than never. Thanks for watching.